It is worth repeating that we live in an age that rejects formal and final causality. For this course and for our lives, we have to recover the truth that things have objective natures, and those natures presuppose a purpose. Things have ends and goals. Things tend towards their own perfections, and if we reject that, as our times have, then what a thing is and what it is for become arbitrary and eventually meaningless. Without meaning, there is no real artful or scientific logic. The Emperor's New Clothes is a perfect lens through which we can see and understand modern education. We can look at the goals of the swindlers and the emperor and discover something profound about our goals in education. The end for the swindlers was to make money. What they produced didn't matter. They got rich. In fact, they produced nothing and still got paid. It sounds eerily like my profession. Imagine the implications of the possibility that modern education is corrupted so badly that what is produced in the schools is forgetfulness. Have we been paid to produce anything of real value? But I can assure you, it's much worse than that. Like the swindlers, the stated purpose of a modern education is to make money or to be made ready for your career. The end for the emperor, also like the public schools, was human respect as a result of superficial appearances. The modern school claims that it makes you ready for college. GPAs, test scores, and acceptance numbers are the currency of these appearances, while attrition rates and the true value of the experience itself remains invisible. The truth is that college and career are not proper ends. They are fruits of our labor and hold out the potential to be a means of participation in family and society. Our society has inverted the order of ends and means. We've been easily convinced that college and career are ends rather than the fruits and means to other goods. They are second things, not first things. The end or purpose of a thing is the fulfillment of its nature, a perfecting of its development. The ends of the modern school, they're badly deformed. They assume that all of life is external and material. It rejects formal and final causes of reality and only deals with the material and efficient questions about things. Well, this will not do for this course. We need to recover an authentic sense of purpose, final causality. We must discover not only our real ends, but the appropriate purpose for a course of study that is human and humane. The truth is that no matter what we do, we naturally, even unthinkingly, begin with the end in mind. And just as St. Thomas says, and I quote, "The last thing in the order of execution is the first thing in the agent's intention." This means that when we identify our end or goal, we aspire to a completion of a thing that will be the last thing in action to happen if we do what we must do to achieve our goal. It is a profound truth to recognize that the ideal of perfection in any given thing is our goal. And an image of that completed thing is the first thing we think about if we plan on achieving our goal. This involves both formal and final causality. Here's the truth. If we in fact have an interior life, a soul, a nature, that means we have a substantial form, as in formal causality, which implies a purpose, as in final causality. So to ignore our form and purpose is to allow ourselves to be deformed by neglect. The schools have ends and purposes, but they are not proper to education, so they deform rather than form. It's true that a scholar with a proper education is easily prepared for college. But the end is the acquisition of the virtues that perfect the human soul and prepare it for an encounter with wisdom. The fruit of that endeavor, the fruit, is preparedness for college. It's not a proper end. The end of a moral education is ethical conduct, and the fruit of a good person is an excellent employability. Still, these two are not proper ends. Our first question in this course is, what is our end? what is the last thing in action that must be our first thing in our intention? If we're going to study the liberal art of logic, we must identify our ends and goals, refer to this chart as often as necessary, as these ends are the first things we must think of in our intentions for this course. So I'm going to explain three kinds of ends. Our ultimate goal is to participate in the acquisition and attainment of wisdom by cooperating with nature such that we might be prepared to encounter objective truth by conforming our minds to reality. Our general end or goal is to acquire the virtue of correct and consistent thinking grounded in reality, which prepares us for proper ethics. My specific goal is to pass on to parents and teachers what has been passed on to me by the great teachers, the form of the art and science of logic, such that they may pass it on to their children and scholars through the dialectic method. Take time to meditate on these three levels of goals. The job here is immense, and it could be quite difficult and even traumatic, because to do this properly requires us to look at the world, reality around us, and to see it not as we would like it to be, but as it actually is. We are going to attempt to learn to think in a way utterly foreign to this age. We've been soaking in propaganda and half-truths for so long that we may not know the difference between advertising and reality, between what we hear on the news and actual events. Worse, we may not even know there is a difference. And worse still, maybe we just don't care. There is some intellectual work we must do together before we even begin this grand adventure. The first 4 classes in this course will be an attempt to prepare you for the acquisition of the virtue of clear and correct thinking. Before we get to an overview of this course, let's have a conversation with C.S. Lewis about the 2 very kinds of education I've been speaking about.